G'day cocktail lovers, I hope you've been keeping well. I hope in this weird out of control world we're in at the moment, things are staying at least relatively under control for you. But as I make this is for the weekend. Why not start the weekend with a bang? Because it's Gibson Martini Day. This was actually declared to be so a couple of years ago by the owner of the Gibson Bar in London, named after the famous drink, which was in turn named after one Charles Gibson, who's most famous for a style of illustration called Gibson Girls. And you would definitely know it if you saw it, I think, because I've often seen them being used in memes. So that's how the current generation will be aware of Gibson Girls. Whether they're aware that they're aware because they will have seen them in memes. But anyway, Gibson was quite famous for a couple of things. The Gibson Girls is probably his enduring legacy. And the story goes, although there's no hard and fast solid proof of this, the story goes, he was in a bar and said he wanted, make a martini for me, but better. And the big breakthrough was use cocktail onions, not olives. So there is nothing flash. A Gibson Martini is simply a very dry martini, like at least the ratio of gin to vermouth, at least 8 or 9 to 1, even 10 to 1, depending how you want to go, and some cocktail onions. And don't be gauche, use the white ones, not the green or the red ones. So, given it's Gibson Martini Day, and good old martini is a good way to start the weekend, let's go. Besides the ratio of gin to vermouth and what garnish to use, you do get a bit of a kerfuffle about, hey, is a martini shaken or stirred? Which is ridiculous. That was only clouded by the James Bond stories. Martinis are stirred, okay? Not shaken. And all you want to do with the stirring is to maybe dilute it or chill it. Maybe you don't want to dilute too much. You could do what I did. Keep your gin in the freezer. No stirring. That throws that whole argument out the window. No stirring or shaking because the gin's been in the freezer. And again, like I said, it's very dry ratios. So it's going to be about 9 or 10 to 1. So essentially, I'm going to do a bit over 2 ounces, a bit over 6, maybe as much as 70 mils of gin. And just to be wild and wacky, I'm using Brogan's Way. This is their Navy strength. They call it Southern strength. What does it clock in at? 57.2% alcohol. So not that outlandish, but considerably stronger than your average gin. And I am going to put somewhere in the region of 70 mils straight into my glass. I should have used a smaller glass. I just happen to have a really large martini glass, but that's a pretty generous serve of gin, and it looks a bit mean, but it's generous. I'm not even going to bother to measure the vermouth as I put in. I'm using a semi-dry Regal from Regal Rogue, an Australian vermouth. Really, we're just introducing the gin to the concept of vermouth. We're not letting vermouth really even play that much of a supporting role. This is a cameo from the vermouth. Just as you blink and you'll miss it, just the teeniest splash of vermouth. But we're not quite done. We need our cocktail onions. I went and bought some cocktail onions specifically for this. I have no other use for them. Let's see if I can spear a couple. I am not very experienced in dealing with cocktail onions, but this appears to be working. That too. Oh look, I'm going to go to town. I've heard a rumour it's bad luck to use an even number of cocktail onions. And a cheeky fourth one has jumped on the end, so it can go away. I'm going to put 3 cocktail onions in. Now this makes the saltiness of, well, olives would be salty as well, but the saltiness of the cocktail onions make this a somewhat savoury drink. It still looks like I didn't put enough in, but honestly, that's like 2.5 ounces in there. That's fine. But yeah, in all seriousness, this will be my first Gibson Martini. I usually use, my preferred garnish for martinis is a twist of lemon. You do you. But if you want it to be a Gibson, it is the cocktail onion. So it's just like, clearly the gin's in there, but just the splash of vermouth and the little bit of saltiness from the cocktail onions is going to just give a little bit of depth and a bit of difference, so you're not just drinking straight gin. Seriously, some people when they say dry, they basically mean give me a glass of cold gin. And this is not that far off it, but there's a splash of vermouth, there's the cocktail onions. Yes, if you wanted to make it a dirty Gibson, you'd put a bit of the brine from the pickled onions in here, but I've kept it relatively simple. You know what else this reminds me of? Just randomly, a TV recommendation if you're a Netflix person. The Queen's Gambit, which I watched recently, was very good, very compelling. I'm not even into chess. It's about a chess prodigy. It's set in the 1960s, and Gibson Martinis feature in it. Don't judge her too harshly when she orders a Gibson on the rocks. I judged her really harshly. Mrs. Angry found it hilarious when she ordered the Gibson on the rocks and she got it in a bloody rocks glass. And I just went, oh my God, she's supposed to be smart. But yeah, you do you, I always say, and I'll try really hard not to judge. But this is kicking off the weekend. Yeah, I think it's in a little bit of style. A Gibson Martini for Gibson Martini Day. I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you're looking after yourself. Hey, a Gibson Martini might not be for you. Then again, it just might. You know, you do your ratios. Don't let people bully you. Don't let them push you around. Traditionally, this is very dry, but if you like more vermouth, you do it your way, okay? I've done it my way. I'm going to enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, it'd be great if you did subscribe. Tell a friend, ring the bell so you get notifications when I upload, and come back. Let me know your preferred martini, maybe, because there are literally, I actually worked it out, just even in the classic range of ratios and garnishes, without even getting into stuff that's called a martini, but it's not really a martini. You get hundreds and hundreds of variations when you mix and match things. And then when you take into account the thousands of different gins and vermouths around the world, there's close enough to an infinite number of drinks that could be called a martini without diverging from the components being gin and vermouth. So it's worth an experiment. I hope you look after yourself. Hope you have a bit of fun. Yeah, try a martini, even if it's not your usual thing. You never know. I'm gonna finish this one and I hope to see you again soon. But for now, cheers.